Hello, I'm Bonnie from Circle City Seeds, and today is week 4 of our Grow Along series. If you're just joining, I'm located in central Indiana, and it's seed starting time. Our last frost date here is at the very end of April, so that puts us at about 9 weeks from our average last frost of the year. Let's start with this golden giant amaranth. It looks like it goes 1/8 of an inch down. The first amaranth I ever grew was the coral fountain, which I believe is more of a decorative flower type. This golden giant is the edible type. You mainly grow it for the seeds to process into a grain, but I believe I've heard that you can eat the leaves too, but I've never tried that. Next, we're going to retry some of these artichokes. The 2 baby artichokes that sprouted died on me, so I'm starting over on these. I'm just going to do 3 again, and we'll see how it goes. Next up is parsley. We've got a few different herbs to start this week. I think I've heard that parsley is a perennial in some places, but that hasn't happened for me yet. Our winters might be too cold here for that. And let's put some oregano next to the parsley. These actually say to surface sow, and these are some super tiny seeds. I didn't have much luck with oregano last year. I had like 2 itty bitty baby plants, and they just kind of stayed at about 2 inches all year. They just kind of hung out in my green stock, not doing much, but hopefully they do better this year. Next up is broccoli. I'm getting better at growing broccoli. I got a few to grow last year, and I harvested a couple small heads, but I'm not sure if I waited too long or cooked them too long, but they didn't turn out right, which stinks. And then next to the broccoli, let's put this bok choy since they're both brassicas. I love growing choy to put in our stir fries. This joy choy from Johnny's does really well for me. They didn't bolt on me last year before I got the chance to eat them, which was great. Let's start on all these basils. I've got 4 different kinds to start this year, and I just love the smell of basil. This first one is just a regular basil. My regular basil was super productive last year. I put those in with my tomatoes and some marigolds. Next up is holy basil. I had these in my green stock last year, and I don't remember them doing much, so we're going to try them again this year. This next one is new for me this year. It's cinnamon basil. I'm not sure if it's supposed to smell like cinnamon roll cinnamon or like red hot ginger cinnamon, but we're going to find out. And next to the cinnamon basil, let's put the lemon basil. Last year, I stuck these in the garden late. I pulled up my garlic at the beginning of July and put a couple of leftover tomatoes, the lemon basil, and some other flowers in the bed. And I don't think I ever harvested any of the lemon basil last year. And since it's lemon basil, let's give it a yellow tag. I'm going to restart some of the onions from week 1. My green onions and my blush onions had only a couple germinate. The seed packets I had were a little older, and I have newer packets of each. I was just trying to go through the older seeds first. Onions are the only seeds that I've come across that have actually aged out for me. I've heard that carrot seeds don't last long either, but I haven't had any trouble with those yet. These onions are actually supposed to be going outside in the next couple weeks, so I'll need to get those garden beds together. It's also tomato week, so let's sort through what tomatoes I'm going to be starting this year. I also have some tomato seeds that I saved, so let me grab those too. These seeds I've saved from some of the giant beefsteak and Roma tomatoes from my garden. We'll start off with these Roma tomato seeds I've saved. I've gotten some pretty large Romas the last couple of years, which is great because I, like a lot of other folks, in 2020 got really into canning my own food. With the Romas, I like to make spaghetti sauce, tomato paste, and tomato juice. I got a food mill, which has been a lifesaver. The first couple of times I made sauce, it took me all day to remove the skins and seeds. These beefsteak tomatoes we like to use for making salsa and pico de gallo. I'm not entirely sure what variety of tomatoes these originally were, but I saved the seeds of the biggest ones each year. Let's do these yellow tomatoes next. I always try a yellow tomato because my husband wants one for salsa, but I don't think I've found the right one for us yet. It seems a bit trickier to tell when the yellow ones are ripe. I think I picked them late and they start to turn a darker yellowy orange. I grew some of these last year and don't really remember how they did. I think I grew 2 different yellows and I don't remember harvesting them on time. These are the mortgage lifter tomatoes. The story goes that the person who created this variety was able to pay off their house, either by selling the tomatoes themselves or the seeds, but I can't remember which. These are the giant crimson tomato seeds from M.I. Gardner. If you haven't seen that video series, you should go watch that next. Luke from M.I. Gardner found some seed packets in a vintage shadow box, and he opened it up and there were still seeds in the packets. One of those packets were for these tomatoes, the giant crimson, which wasn't available anymore. He planted the seeds and just got one or a couple of the seeds to germinate, and it took him a couple of years of growing out the tomato to get enough to sell the seeds. For the last couple of years, they were very limited. They were sold in packs of 5 seeds each, and there was a limit that you could only buy 2 packets, and they usually sold out the day that they were restocked. I think I got a little more than 5 seeds in this packet though. This last one is the Martha Washington tomato. It'll be my first time growing this variety for me, which is always exciting. And let's check in on the seeds that we've started the last few weeks. The shelves are getting more and more full. I was really hoping to get to potting up some of these plants, and hopefully I can do that here in the next couple of days. A couple of these guys aren't looking too good, but most of them are doing great. We've got some gladiolus in the back that look kind of like blades of grass, and a couple of coneflowers that are looking great. We still got the spiderwort and chicory going. The columbine is looking good. There's just so many teeny tiny baby plants. I'll have to try again with the mint and the impatiens, I think. I've already started over with the artichokes. And I thought I had some begonias that were popping up, but I don't see them now. Most of the onions look great. We'll see how those fresh green and blush onions do. The celery and eucalyptus look great, and we may need to give up on those coreopsis in the back. Most of the peppers we started last week are popping up on the heat mat, which is wonderful. And here are some more itty bitty chamomile and lemongrass. And one of those blue globe thistles is popping up too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for week 5. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Happy gardening!